Hello, welcome back to Creeping It Colorful. It's Sinister Saturday. I'm going to be coloring out of the 50 Killer Close-Ups Ultra Real Grayscale Coloring Pages book. And I've already got you zoomed in, and this is the creepy kid that I'm going to be coloring. So here's Mark with a story from Unsolved Deaths.
Alrighty, what happened to Sean Flynn? April 6, 1970, Cambodia. American photojournalist Sean Flynn, son of Hollywood legend Errol Flynn, disappeared without a trace while working as a photojournalist in Cambodia for Time magazine in April 1970. Was he held prisoner? Was he executed? Sean Flynn initially followed his swashbuckling father, Errol Flynn, into the movies. After appearing age 15 in his dad's TV show, The Errol Flynn Theater, he starred age 23 in the 1962 movie, The Son of Captain Blood, a sequel to his father's 1935 hit Captain Blood. And after that, in a few European productions, including Stop Train 349. Sean had largely given up acting by 1966 and began work as a freelance photojournalist. The year he arrived in South Vietnam, his courage and willingness to put his body on the line in search of good shots meant that he was soon in demand, his work appearing in the magazines Paris Match and Time, and being taken by UPI, United Press International. Colleagues of the time say he had something of the swashbuckling style of his father's movie characters. He was an eye-catching figure, tall, blue-eyed, wearing his blonde hair long and with the sideburns that were then fashionable. Groovy danger. Sean Flynn undertook gung-ho missions and survived several close calls. He said at the time he grooved on the danger, meaning the risk of combat and dangerous missions excited him. In April of 1966, he was patrolling with Chinese soldiers and U.S. Special Forces, the troops known as Green Berets in South Vietnam, when they were ambushed and he had to fight his way out, alongside the professionals using an M16 rifle. In December that year, he was with the 1st Brigade, 101's Airborne Division, making a parachute jump. He was twice injured in March of 1966 and September of 68. The day on which he vanished, April 6, 1970, he was traveling with fellow photographer Dana Stone, who was an assignment for CBS News from the Cambodian capital Phnom Penh to Saigon, now known as the Ho Chi Minh City, in Vietnam, in order to attend an important press conference sponsored by the government. On that fateful day, the intrepid pair chose not to use the limousines favored by the main group of journalists, but instead to travel alone on the motorcycles. And on the lookout for a great picture, they rode into trouble. They had heard that there was a Viet Cong checkpoint on Highway 1, and with typical audacity, deliberately took the route in the hope they could get some good images of Viet Cong guerrillas. Checked out. We know that they were taken hostage by the guerrillas at the checkpoint, but after that, all is a blank. Despite long and intensive searches funded by Sean's mother, the French-American actress Lila Demitia, the latest thinking is that Flynn and Stone were seized in a Sèvres province and held in captivity for more than a year. The two journalists were probably marched northward. It seems the captives began to slow the troops down and were handed over to the Cambodian communists, the Khmer Rouge, who executed them in June 1971. Experts suggest that the Viet Cong did not normally kill journalists, preferring to release them with the aim of passing positive propaganda around, but it would have been a different story with the Khmer Rouge. For years, Lila Demitia refused to give up her search for the lost son, who was only 28 years old when he disappeared. However, eventually, she admitted defeat and had him declared legally dead in 1984. Former colleagues and interested journalists kept up the search, and a 2010 TV movie suggested his body might have turned up. See box opposite page. But Sean's death remains unsolved. Strange stories. In 2010, researchers thought they had found Lynn's body when they dug up what were apparently the remains of a Western hostage who had been killed by the Khmer Rouge at a site at Pagdong village, Kampong Cham province, eastern Cambodia. They were led to the site by a local man who said he had witnessed the killing of a blonde-haired foreigner there many years earlier. The local said the victim had been made to dig his own grave and then gruesomely battered to death with a rock after the gun intended for his execution jammed. A laboratory test on the remains carried out by the Joint POW-MIA Accounting Command, the U.S. Department of Defense body tasked with identifying the remains of Americans listed as missing in action or POWs, said there was no match with samples of Flynn's DNA they had on file. Whose remains were they? The JPAC said they were of an indigenous person. Nevertheless, British photographer Tim Page, former colleague of Flynn and Stone, has said that he thought the site in question might contain the remains of Western journalists and that local people had said graves there held the bodies of several foreigners. The end.
Alrighty. It's a little active here today. Okay, let's talk about this. So him and his female colleague got a little bit brave, so to speak, and thought they could just manage being there and snapping a few pictures. That just was a little bit bold and brazen, and it didn't really get him very far, did it? But I have a funny story to tell you anyway. And it's sad. I hope that indigenous person that they found was actually identified enough that the body got returned to the family. Anyway, in that story, there was mention of gorillas. So I don't know if I told you this story, and if I did, I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, but I just have to say it again. Both my brothers were in Vietnam, fighting over in Vietnam in the army. One enlisted, one was drafted. And at one point, they even saw each other over there, which was, you know, taboo. It was a no-no to have siblings in the same area. So, anyway, I was in kindergarten, and my kindergarten teacher, well, that was a different story. Anyway, I remember watching the news on TV. My mom would have it on about what was going on over in Vietnam. And I remember sitting there. Now, granted, I was between 4 and 5 years old at the time. And the reason I know how old I was, basically, it was that time frame. I was born in 65, so they were still over there when I was between 4 and 5 years old, and I was in kindergarten. And I remember my teacher saying to me, "Put up your hand if anyone here is an only child." And at the time, I wasn't, 4 or 5 years old. I don't know any better. I don't have my brothers at home with me. I'm not being raised with them because they're not there. They're at war. So I'm putting my hand up thinking I'm an only child. But besides that, when my mom was watching the news, she put on about the combat over there, and I was a little bit scared because I wasn't sure what I was watching. And then Mom tried to explain to me that my brothers were there. And I'm like, I still didn't quite grasp it. And then I got kind of upset, and I'm like, and my mom was like, "What's wrong? Why are you so upset?" She says, "Do you miss your brothers?" And I said, "No, I was upset because I thought the gorillas were going to get my brothers. I had no concept of what gorillas were, and just like in that story, that's what they called. Some of the Viet Cong over there were called guerrillas. And it was also called guerrilla warfare. So it was something that got in my head that I thought my brothers were going to get killed by guerrillas. So yeah, I was super upset, couldn't figure it out. My mom didn't know how to explain that wasn't real gorillas. And so yeah, I had that little bit of a a mind freak there, because I didn't really understand the whole concept. So it's not really it is, but it isn't a funny story. So, and when they came back, my one brother kind of stayed around, but my other brother really didn't, and it's funny because of growing up, the one that was drafted never spoke. He never really spoke of anything that happened over there. And the one that enlisted, he's the youngest of my brothers. I'm 16 years behind him. And then my other brother that was over there they were only a year apart in age. And my brother that enlisted, he would tell us stories of things that went on over there. And the one who enlisted, he was battling from issues with Agent Orange, and now he has Parkinson's disease. And so yeah, they didn't have a good time when they came home, let me tell you. They had it kind of rough. And you know, it it is not surprising that they did have it rough. So I often wonder if, if we actually do have all of our, what were POWs and all the bodies that were left behind. I remember watching Private Ryan and being glad that my brothers both came back. And the funny, no, I shouldn't say the funny part. The weird part was that they actually did have a part where my one brother was on the ground most of the time, and my other brother would be flown in and be on the ground also. But they actually met at one point. That's just freakiness to me, that they actually got to see each other, which I guess they felt good about, because when they were over there, they weren't really told too much about other platoons, too much going on, so it wasn't real knowledge, basically. I'm assuming. Now, maybe someone out there knows different, but that's just my idea. Like, I would think they would be glad to see their sibling. That way they knew that they're still there. But I know my mom was probably not too happy finding out that they were together. Because I don't think they actually told my family that, hey, your sons are in the same area. I really don't think they would have wanted to say something, because I think my mom would have just brought the wrath down on them. But from what I understand, just like my one brother just got dropped in the same area, and I guess because they have to keep moving, they didn't realize that my other brother was in the same area, but they got to see each other. It's not like nowadays where I've noticed that, people come home and have holidays with their family and stuff like that. I mean, it's like when you were in war, when my dad and my grandfather and my brothers were at war, and my uncles, you were in war. You didn't get that time to, like, tag, you're it, you go over while I go spend Christmas with my family type deal. I mean, I'm glad they get to do that, but no, we didn't have that. We didn't have that opportunity back in the day. That wasn't something that was allowed. It's like you were there, you were there. They brought back some recipes, if that's something or what. They seem to love coconut milk. Oh my god, and I can't stand it, because I remember one time when my brothers made me drink that, a full glass of it. I didn't know, and I told my brother to pour me a glass, but I didn't know what I was getting myself in for, and that was the most horriblest taste ever. And yeah, so that was not a good experience. My brother probably kind of thought it was funny, because I didn't really like it, but my mom was the type of person, like, if you don't eat your vegetables, you don't get up from the table till you eat your vegetables type. Back in the day, you didn't get like nowadays you have like a freaking menu you can choose from if you're a kid. No, that didn't happen back then. Back then, you ate what your mom made and you liked it, and if you didn't like it, tough, you still ate it, whether it made you sick or not. Well, yeah, that's how it was. Well, I opted for a full glass, not realizing how much I didn't like it. And oh my goodness, it's just like, okay, my roots, my mom, my grandmother was full Filipino. Okay, so I have the Filipino blood, and I do not like mango. For some reason, mango is not for me. And so that's just something I just can't. So I don't know if it's. See, sometimes it's like if certain foods are like if it's cooked a certain way and you don't like it, you don't ever want to taste it again, right? You don't want to give it a second chance. Well, there's some things that I wouldn't definitely never give a second chance, no matter how it's cooked, like liver and onions. But yeah, I don't know why I don't like mango, but mango is nah, it's just not my idea of good fruit, but it's supposedly what Filipinos like. And also maybe it's because like, okay, when you're raised that way and you're actually there in the Philippines, and it's your staple rice I'm talking about right now. It's a lot different than when you have a choice. And it's just that we'd have rice every meal. And it's, after a while, it's just, to me it got old, and now because I don't have to have it, I don't. Unless there's just something that I really like to eat with rice, or if I get the urge for rice, or for some reason I'm wanting rice with something, then yeah, then I will eat it. Sorry about that. Then I will eat it, but I don't go out of my way to eat rice either. I mean, I like the flavored rice, like the chicken rice and chicken flavored rice and stuff like that. But white rice, oh my goodness, there's some stuff I do eat it with that I mix it with, but no, I'm not a big rice fan. And I know that's another thing that is in the Asian culture. But that and noodles. Now I'm a noodle freak. That I am, but don't think. I don't think I will ever be totally okay with rice. Alrighty, so this one's coming along pretty quick. Pretty gruesome, isn't it? Poor little guy. Let's see. I want to try to. I don't think I can. I'd like to try to tone down this just a little bit. Maybe I'll just go over these and make it just a little bit darker, so it's not such a bright red. I had a gel pen that worked good, but of course I'm down to my last red gel pen, and you can see that I use it a lot with the type of coloring that I do. So I'm going to have to try to get myself some more red pens, because I'm down. I'm not even actually, this is, I guess you could call it a gel pen. It's a zebra. I got it, I guess you could call it a gel pen. I got it at Dollar General actually, and then I got it on sale. It was only 50 cents. But I should have grabbed them all at the time. But yeah, those and browns I seem to use up a lot. Hope everybody's having a good weekend so far. One day down, one day to go, right? And then it's back to the grind of a week. But I'm glad we could get this in for you. Hope that story was a little interesting. It was to me, because I kind of it kind of resonated with me, and especially when I heard him talk about gorillas. That just brought that memory right back. Just remember sitting in the living room floor, in front of the TV. Mom had to have the news on all the time till they came home. And we didn't even go to pick them up. They I think they bused them to a town. And bear with me. I am now 61, and I was only a little way back then. But from what I remember, I do believe, because we had signs on our house, you know, welcome home Ron, welcome home Gordon. And I don't think they came home at the same time either. I don't know which one came home first. And it's weird that, you know, that one tells the story and another one doesn't. And you don't want to push the subject if it's not something they're free to talk about. Even though you think they should, you think that would help them, it may not. There was a time when my brother, my one brother who's the one who has Parkinson's, they knew that he had an effect from the Agent Orange, that he had to get his vein that was stripped in his leg because his legs were so bad from over there. But yeah, they're both still around too, both still hanging in there. So one's 77 and one's 78. So they're getting up there, but they're still hanging in. Oh my goodness. I'll get through this one, and I think maybe I'll just call it after I get done enhancing this. And all I gotta do is the face yet, I believe. And then that's it. And then I'll be done with this one. I love this Greyscale book. It's got all kinds of creepy photos, but Greyscale to me it's like so easy to make it look so realistic with minimal effort. It's already shaded basically. So when you color over an area that's already shaded, it's gonna have that deeper shaded look to it. So that's a little bit better. He's not so in your face bright red. It's a little bit darker. That helped. I'm using my Prismacolors. I'm sorry I haven't told you any of the numbers or anything like that. I was so busy talking. But yeah, I'll be using these ones for the skin, and that will be it for this young man. What do you think? Do you think it's a girl or a boy? That's a tough one. Now that I gave it the reddish hair, I thought wanted to give it green eyes, but now that I gave it the reddish hair, I'm not sure. It kind of looks like a girl. Like the other one that I had back here, I was flipping to it. And that is a girl. That you can tell because of the hair and everything. And that one was my other gel pen, which is a little darker, so you can kind of see the difference in the colors. I kind of like that color better. This is so... It even looks good though with the... Maybe if I make this face a little ashen instead of using regular colors. Man, that might look even better than that. That might be an idea. I'll do this one differently and use grays on it, and I don't have my gray colors pulled out. And then you guys will see it when you see my finished pages, or maybe I'll even post a picture of it. Got quite a few done this weekend, thank goodness. I just saw a defect in here. I don't know if that's supposed to be in there, if it's in the paper, if it's actually supposed to be in that picture. But just saw that going across. Yeah, I can fix that, no problem. Alrighty, thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the story, and coloring in the chat, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. And if you have, thank you so much. And stay happy, stay healthy, stay creative, stay colorful, stay true to yourself, stay kind, and stay tuned for the next video. I hope to see you there. Have a great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye for now.